I was watching a video on Alex Ishagian's YouTube channel today where he had Dan Rivera, a top world-class backgammon player, playing against XG and discussing the moves afterwards, analyzing the moves and the decisions made afterwards. And this is a really good way to use XG to analyze your moves and figure out not only what the best move was, but by modifying the positions that you took and made, the moves you made in your game, by modifying them, changing them a little bit, changing some of the features of the move, then you get a little bit greater understanding of why the move was the best or not the best. This came from about an hour into the video, and Dan had a 4-2. Dan is the black checkers with the home board in the bottom left, playing against XG, who was the white checkers, the home board in the upper left. Dan had rolled a 4-2 and had moved 23-21 with his 2 and slotted the 6-2 with his 4. Slotted the 2 with his 4. And that was correct, according to XG. And so I wasn't sure why it was not correct to hit. I was thinking possibly to hit. I didn't know why it was better to step up and slot the 2 rather than hit loose on the 7 from the midpoint. So Dan and Alex talked about 3 or so different features, 2 or 3 different features that we'll go over in the video here. In the video, I'm going to be talking about quadrants, and we're doing this from Dan's perspective. So since Dan's home board is in the bottom left, that would be quadrant 1, quadrant 2, bottom right, quadrant 3, upper right, quadrant 4, upper left. So here are the 3 different features that Dan and Alex discussed, and how they affected the move. What was the best move? The first feature was this 3 checkers on Dan's midpoint. Second feature was the blot here on the bar point on the 7. And the third feature was this prime, this 4 prime that white had. Looking at this, to me, I saw the best way for black to win was he had to escape, get past his 4 prime, get past the prime. He had to either set up an anchor up here on the 16, 15, or 14, or maybe get all on the 13, run to the midpoint, and then fight here in the second quadrant. Since XG's got this advanced anchor, we're not going to be able to prime him in. It's going to be either a race or some kind of hitting battle attack. Priming is out. So the best place to have the battle, I believe, is here in this quadrant 2. Quadrant 4 is gone because it's being dominated by white. Quadrant 3 is we want to get past quadrant 3. We don't want to be fight. We want to get out there. But quadrant 2, Dan has already 2 points made. That's, I think, where the battle's going to come down to. Quadrant 1, since XG's got this advanced anchor, we're not going to be fighting for anything until the end. Maybe white will have to run 1 from the anchor and then we can hit it. But most likely we're going to be fighting here in quadrant 2 if things work out black's way. Okay. So the first feature was this 3 checkers on the midpoint. Our biggest liability is our 2 men back here. White is going to be trying to make this prime longer, extend the prime. So we need to step up and get past them, at least step up before the prime gets any bigger. If we hit loose, we'd like to be able to hit loose to give us some timing to move these guys out. But if we hit loose, as it is here, we won't be able to cover that and also step up. We might be able to take this and make another point, but we're going to be stuck back here if we do that. while we do that. By putting an extra man on the midpoint here, a fourth checker, now we can hit loose and um, either we don't have to worry about covering it and breaking any points. Here, if we were going to try to cover this with something from our 8 or 10 or 13, if we hit on the 7, we'd have to strip or break one of these points. With a fourth checker on the midpoint, we don't have to break the midpoint to cover that checker. If we hit loose here, we can cover it with another 6. If we don't do that, we can make a point here. We at least have the better chance now of making this point, which would be great. If we could hit now and then cover it late on our next roll, that would be a really good move for us. So it's worth taking the shot with four on the midpoint instead of 3 now. Also, by hitting down on the midpoint here, hitting this, it gives us some time to step up, even if we were not able to cover it. So even the worst case scenario has a positive. Another feature is this blot on the midpoint, on the bar point, I mean, the 7. In the original position, if we were going to hit it, we'd have to take our full roll, our 4 and our 2 to hit it, which means we couldn't step up. But if we move the blot from the 7 to the 9, now we can both hit and step up, which makes hitting and stepping up the best play, according to XG, which I agree with it. Hitting, stepping up allows us to possibly run past the anchor, run past the prime, maybe even hit this blot out here, and then get ready for a battle in quadrant 2 in the future. I'm having 3 white checkers back here. And the last feature is the 4 prime in the original position. That 4 prime is very dangerous, and we need to get by it. That's why it's imperative to be able to step up. We change the 4 prime to a 3 prime, though. Now it's a lot easier for these guys to escape. So now we can hit, and we don't need to worry about escaping these right at the moment. It's not so dangerous to leave them back here with this only a 3 prime. So now we can hit. Hopefully, white dances maybe, or gets just 1 in. I mean, or just gets 1 in and then has to do something like with a 1, maybe a 2-1, 4-1, something like that. So that gives us time by hitting, gives us some time now to step up and escape later against now the weaker 3 prime. So again, going back to the original position here, the reason why it's not correct to hit is because we'll strip our midpoint. We won't be able to step up against this 4 prime, which is critical. So the 4 prime is a critical factor in our decision to step up. And when we step up, the best thing to do with the 4, we do slot. We can't hit. We shouldn't hit because it'll strip our midpoint and it will not allow us to step up.